Hi, boys and girls. We're going to pick up where we left off in the doll people. We were on page 67, and on page 67, there's some great illustrations. So I want to show them to you again. And the one that's going to be in the reading that we're reading about right now is this one. Isn't that a kind of a strange illustration? I also think what I like about this is you can kind of get a feel for the difference between the doll family and the Funcraft family. So notice over here, here's the doll family and their porcelain and the Funcraft's plastic. And you can kind of see that that's going to make a difference as the story moves forward in what they can do and how they can act, and what they can get away with, too. All right, so here's where we are. At that moment, Annabel heard a small commotion outside the kitchen. She rushed to the stairway in time to see Mom Funcraft exclaim, "Oh, look! The dolls have stairs too!" Mom ran up to the landing and slid down the banister, landing smartly on the floor between Mama and Papa. Dad Funcraft smiled proudly. "She's an expert," he said. Annabel glanced at her parents. They were peering frantically into Kate's room, searching for signs that Kate had awakened. Now, are the Funcrafts as careful as the dolls? Dolls are very careful about not waking Kate up. What do you think? The Funcrafts, are they as careful? Not so much. "Generally," said Papa, "we refrain from making much noise for about 2 more hours until we're certain the entire Palmer household is sound asleep." "Oh, they won't hear us," said Mom, "and if they do, we'll just hide." Annabel saw her parents cringe. What does that mean, to cringe? They were like, ooh, that's something they're not comfortable with. Mom and Dad Funcraft gazed around the doll's parlor. "Your furniture is so," Mom started to say. "So old," Tiffany finished for her. "Mom, the dolls are more than 100 years old. Right, Annabelle?" "Yes," said Annabelle. "Don't you have anything plastic?" asked Tiffany. Annabelle had never thought about this, but she replied quickly, "Of course we do. Mom, where's the lamp Kate's mother bought for us when she was little?" "The lava lamp," replied Mama. "Oh, it's not here anymore. The Palmers took it out later. It didn't go with the decor." "I think a lava lamp looks nice anywhere," said Tiffany. The Funcrafts explored the rest of the house. They tested the keys on the piano. They remarked upon a 1933 edition of National Geographic that lay on a table in the parlor. That's a magazine, but it would be an old magazine. Bailey tried the rocking horse in the nursery and then leaped from it onto Bobby's bed, while Mom and Dad looked on smiling. Annabel was amazed. Finally, everyone gathered in the kitchen, where the Funcrafts had no end of questions. Tiffany was proud to be able to identify the potato masher, the orange squeezer, and the whisk for her parents. "Interesting," said Mom. "Where are your barbecue things?" asked Dad. "Barbecue," repeated Nanny. She turned to Mama and Papa, and they shrugged. "I guess we don't have barbecue things." So think about 100 years ago, life would have been quite different for people and for dolls. And dollhouses would have been, they would have come with the things that regular people would have had. So they didn't have grills and barbecues or microwaves that was mentioned in the last reading. That's just not something people had 100 years ago. So the dolls in their house only have things that people would have had 100 years ago. They have a potato masher. You wouldn't have a mixer that would mix up your potatoes so you could make it into mashed potatoes real quick. That's just not something they had 100 years ago. "What's a barbecue?" Annabelle asked Tiffany. "It's a grill, a gas grill. You turn it on," added Mom, "and it cooks food quickly, with a great taste of the outdoors. Of course, ours doesn't really work, but we have fun pretending." So, like a lot of things in the dollhouse, it doesn't really work. "A barbecue," said Tiffany, "is also a party, like a picnic, at which you serve the barbecued food." "Picnic," said Annabelle. "We don't know what that is either." "You're kidding. Our dream house came with a picnic basket. It's one of the basic items. But if you want picnic food for the basket, you have to order it separately," said Dad. My goodness, was all Mama Doll could say. Mom Funcraft whispered something to Dad Funcraft and then to Bailey and Tiffany, who grinned. Then she said to the dolls, "Would you like to come over to our house for a barbecue one night? We could have a getting to know you party." Annabelle looked hopefully at Mama, who was looking at Papa. She knew her mother was having second thoughts about visiting the Funcrafts, now that she had met them. "Well," said Mama finally, "all right." Yes, thought Annabelle. How about tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Oh, I don't think. Please come, said Mom. We'll have a wonderful party. Don't you want to see our house, Mrs. Doll? We have a computer and a VCR, added Dad. Also a patio, said Bailey. Well, that's where we have the barbecues. He backing up. They said they have a computer and a VCR. Now, a VCR might not be something you guys are familiar with, but when the Funcrafts house was made, it was made with a VCR to play movies. Now, you might have a DVD player, or maybe you just stream movies. So technology's always changing. So what was when the story was written, a VCR would have been the top of technology, but technology moves on. And so here we are in 2020, and most of us probably get our movies either in DVD form or streaming. Now, picking up where we left off. Well, said Mama helplessly. Oh, please, Mama, said Annabelle. We made them the you know what. Please, remember the gift? Very well, Mama said to Mom Funcraft. Thank you. Fantastic, Mom. We'll see you tomorrow night. The Funcrafts turned to leave. See you, Tiffany called as she and her family slid down the steps of the stool. Do you think the doll family could slide down the steps? Probably not, being that they're made of porcelain. Bye, replied Annabelle. She looked at her parents. They were staring at each other in disbelief. Can you imagine that? They were staring at each other like, what just happened? To think, said Nanny, that we've gone all these years without a single neighbor. And then we end up with such an unusual one. I suppose we must give them a chance, said Mamma cautiously. But they're so loud, said Papa. Still, they are our neighbors, said Mamma. True, said Uncle Doll, and we must be neighborly. They don't seem like bad people, added Nanny. No, agreed Papa, just different. There's nothing wrong with being different, said Mamma. I like them, declared Annabelle. I can't wait for tomorrow night. And there's Annabelle sitting on a chair. What do you think that would be like to have lived a life that was the same for 100 years and really never met anybody new, at least no new dolls, and all of a sudden you meet brand new dolls and they're not like you? That'd be a pretty big change, right? Let's see how they handle it. Chapter 6, Annabelle Downstairs. Brand new chapter. Annabelle spent a good portion of the next day planning exactly how she would present the bouquet of paper flowers to the Funcrafts that night. Although she knew she ought to give them to Mom Funcraft, she wanted badly to give them to Tiffany. She planned to hold them behind her back, and as she and her family entered Nora's room. Then, just as she stepped through the front door to the dream house, she would pull the bouquet out and thrust it toward Tiffany and say grandly, "A floral bouquet for your new home. This is a housewarming gesture from my family to yours. We hope you like it. We made it ourselves." A housewarming gesture. When someone new moves in, it's a tradition to give a housewarming gesture, something to show that you're neighborly, that you're kind. You might walk over to a new neighbor and say, "Here." Sometimes people would give something like a plate of cookies or flowers, like what the doll family is doing. Annabelle was busily memorizing her speech that afternoon when she heard a commotion in the hallway outside Kate's room. A moment later, Nora burst through the door carrying the bucket of farm animals. Uh-oh. Not Rancher family again, Annabelle thought, feeling panicky, but all she could do was stand. disgusted, in the parlor where she had been left that morning. From her spot near the sofa, Annabel had a good view of Nora in the bucket. She watched, her stomach sinking, as Nora dumped the on Kate's floor and reached into the pile of animals and toys. Then, hands full, Nora ran to the dollhouse, climbed the stool, and emptied her hands in the parlor. To Annabel's great surprise, she found herself face to face with Tiffany. Annabelle wanted to shout. She wanted to grab Tiffany and tell her what Rancher Family was. At the very least, she wanted to grin. But she didn't move so much as an eyebrow, and neither did Tiffany. Hmm, dee murmured Nora. She dumped another handful of toys in the parlor. Annabelle was now surrounded by Tiffany, Mom Funcraft, Bailey, a goose, two hens, two cows, a horse, and four pigs. Nora set the animals on one side of the room. She moved Annabelle, Tiffany, Mom, and Bailey to the other side. The all new rancher family, said Nora. Here, you old dollies, look at my new dollies. Nora picked up Annabelle in one hand and Tiffany in the other. She held them about 2 inches apart. So she held them 2 inches apart. You be nice to my new dollies, all you old dollies, she went on. They have never played Rancher Family before, so you have to help them. Annabelle, you go first. You will show the horse riding. Nora dropped Tiffany to the parlor floor, and Annabelle winced. She had been dropped like that herself, and had the chips and cracks to show for it, but Tiffany didn't crack when she landed. She seemed to bounce a little, and Tiffany smiled slightly. Nora pulled Annabelle's skirt up and stuck her legs over the back of the horse. Ride 'em, cowboy, she cried, and she galloped Annabelle through the house. Okay, your turn, new dolly, she said as she returned Annabelle and the horse to the parlor. She pulled Annabelle off, tossed her on the couch, and stuck Tiffany on the horse instead. Then she sat Bailey and Mom Funcraft on the cows. Time for the roundup! Gallop, gallop, gallop! Nora ran the Funcrafts through the house so fast that Mom fell off the cow and landed on the sofa, and Bailey toppled forward and fell over the cow's head and into the kitchen sink. Oh, oh no, thought Annabelle. What a horrible experience for the Funcrafts. I hope Tiffany won't be mad at me. I should have warned her about Rancher Family. I should have. Annabelle's thoughts were cut short when Nora left the room for a minute and Bailey leaped up in the sink shouting, Awesome! While Mom Funcraft stood on the couch and bounced on the cushions. Annabelle stared at them, open-mouthed. Now, why would Annabelle stare open-mouthed? Is she surprised? They are reacting very different than the dolls would have reacted if they were in that same situation. Why do you think that is? Think about that. For heaven's sake, get down, both you, hissed Papa Doll. Do you want Nora too? Nora sailed back into the room then, carrying a bottle of baby powder. Bailey collapsed in the sink, and Mom draped herself over the couch cushions. Annabelle could not believe what she had just seen. The Funcrafts were enjoying themselves. Look, you new dolly, said Nora. I brought the rest of your family. Sure enough, Nora was clutching Dad Funcraft and baby Brittany. She tossed them in the parlor. They then twisted the cap of the powder. Time for the snowstorm, she said. Nora exclaimed a voice from the doorway. Nora jumped and turned around, guilty. Is Nora supposed to be playing in Kate's dollhouse? Uh-oh. The voice belonged to Kate. What are you doing? She said to Nora. Playing with... Nora's voice trailed off. Annabelle watched as Kate slowly entered her room. Kate looked in the doll's house. She saw the dolls. She saw the Funcraft. She saw Nora's revolting plastic animals. Nora, you have your own dollhouse now, Kate said, trying her best to be patient. You have your own dolls. Why are you still playing Rancher Family in my dollhouse? Well, because I wanted my dollies to meet your dollies. But Nora, you know I don't like the animals in the dollhouse. Thank you, Kate, thought Annabelle. Everything doesn't have to be your way, cried Nora. But we have rules, said Kate. I hate rules. Nora, Kate drew in a deep breath. Please take your dolls and all the animals back to your room, okay? You are not the boss of me. Kate ignored this. Poor dolls, she said, reaching into the parlor. Okay, it's tea time for you. She settled Annabelle back on the couch. Then she scooped up the fun crafts and began to gather the farm animals for Nora. Goody, thought Annabelle. Annabelle was imagining a pleasant, cow-free afternoon when suddenly she felt herself being pulled and squished and snatched from the dollhouse. Ha! Cried Nora. Thump, 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 thump. Annabelle bounced along as Nora ran from Kate's room. Nora's hand covered Annabelle's face. It was dark, and Annabelle didn't dare move, except her eyes. She looked around and realized she could see through a small crack between Nora's fingers. Annabelle watched the hall wallpaper fly by. The wallpaper ended, and bump, 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 Nora hurried down the stairs. Nora! Shouted Kate from the hallway. Nora didn't stop. That's where we're going to stop. So you'll have to wait till next time to find out what happens. Uh-oh. Nora has just run off with Annabelle. Bye for now, friends.